Hello, welcome to Board Games with Niramas. I'm Joseph and I'm here today with Roracco, of course. And we are excited because we are going to do our first ever top 100 games of all time. Now, last year we did a top 50 and that was a lot of fun. But that was almost even harder than this one because you had to just pick out so many good games to have the 50 that I wanted to have there. But I want to be like the big guys, like the big cool YouTubers out there. I want to do my top 100 as well. Why not? So it's going to be 10 episodes with 10 in each segment, of course. So we're starting off here and we're going to go for 9 of these episodes. And then the last one I'll do together with some of my friends as well, like I did earlier years. So I guess we're ready to get going. Just gonna say that this was really hard. It's hard to compare games, maybe a heavy game and a light game, and I have to compare them and see which one do I prefer. So a lot of this is not about like what's the best game in terms of how well it was designed and thought out and all that. It's a mix of like, do I like the components? Do I like the design? Do I like the mechanics? Do I have fun when I play it? Do I feel like I want to play it again? All that stuff put in together, mashed in together, and a lot of hours put into this to get this list. And so I'm excited to share it with you guys. So let's get going. And first of all, I do want to make an honorable mention. So number 101, the one that just barely didn't make it onto the list. Sorry, but it's Sight. So Sight is my number 101. It just missed the list by one placement, and it actually has risen for me lately. It should have been lower otherwise, but I really like the Rise of Fenris expansion that came a while ago here, and how it added the I'm not going to spoil anything, but it sort of adds options to vary how you want the game to become. I'll just say that, and if you played it, you understand what I mean. Alright, so let's get into the top 100, and my number 100 is Castles of Mad King Ludwig. This is a, well, not city, but a castle building game where you are building piece by piece, you're building your castle, and you're building it for the king, but he's mad. So it's going to look really weird when you're done, because you have these rooms going all over the place and different sizes, different shapes of the rooms. And the rooms also have different themes, so you have like music rooms or the bedrooms and so on. They don't want to be next to each other because then you can't sleep if people are playing instruments all night long. So you want to have the living room next to it and so on. You have to sort of plan out where to put the rooms to get the maximum effect and get the most points and so on. The real fun thing with this game though is not, I mean the building is fun and all that, but really where this game shines is where you get to, when you each time it's your turn, or like every turn, one of you at the table is going to be, I think, the builder or whatever it's called, like the architect, and that player has control of how to place the tiles that are out there on the offer, how expensive they are going to be. And so when it's my turn, if I need a certain tile, I want to place it so it's enough expensive so that my opponent don't buy it before I get to buy it. But at the same time, I don't want to put it too expensive because I won't be able to buy it myself. And also when the other players buy tiles, they will pay to me. But when I buy a tile, I will pay to the bank, and then it keeps rotating. So that system is just awesome. It's just so good. I just love that one. I think it's called like I Cut You Choose. I think it's called sort of the mechanic there. But I really like that one. So anyway, that's my number 100, the Castles of Mad King Ludwig. So let's go to 99, and 99 is from one of my favorites designers, Jacob Frexelius, who also, of course, did another game that I love even more. But my number 99 is Space Station. Space Station is a sort of, in some thematic way, maybe a prequel to Terraforming Mars, because you're building a space station, trying to get out in space and so on. You haven't reached Mars yet, yeah, right? But in Space Station, it's a card game where you play the cards and build you use the cards to build like a space station, and you play them, you can sort of play them and build them, or some of the cards are also event cards that you play to get an effect, something happening. And it's really fun. It's quite mean, I should say. It's way more mean than I usually prefer, but I enjoy it in this one. It's okay. There's some attacking modules and event cards that are also attacking the other players. Something that I usually stay away from in games, but you know, I like this one. It's fun. I mean, the production and all that is not that you know, it's not that well made, to be honest. It's pretty much you know, homemade thing, but it's really fun. If you can get your hands on it, I really recommend Space Station, my number 99. Then we go to number 98, and that is called Diamant. And this is a oh, it has another name as well. I keep forgot it right now. Yeah, this is another name for it. I think it was an earlier one. Diamant is like the new one, I think. And this is a push your luck game where it's really fun, really gateway and easy going. But we start off in a camp. We have our little dude. We will go out on adventures. I think it's 4 or 5 adventures each game. And as you go out, you draw cards from a deck to see what rooms we end up in. And most of the cards are just fine. We find some treasure and we're happy. And then everybody gets the question, sort of, do you want to continue? Because at the same time we will play a card, one of two, sort of like a yes or no. Will we go home or will we continue into the dungeon? The thing is, when we run into some traps like snakes or spiders, all the nasty stuff, or like yeah, like spikes from the, you know, falling from the roof or whatever, it's okay if it's only one, because we can handle that. But if we hit another one, then we're instantly you know, busted. We get hurt. We have to run home, and we lose everything that we picked up so far in that run. And that's the whole push your luck, but it's so, I think it's so much fun. But because if we make it back to the camp, then we have this little awesome little cardboard chest that we get to put the pieces in. It's like diamonds and stuff, just so cute. And then they're safe, so then we can go out on a new trip. But the thing is, I tend to overdo it. I tend to push my luck a bit too much, which means I always end up in this like bad circle of events, because if I fail the first time and the other ones got like, yeah, they got like 10 worth of value each maybe, or something like that, then in the next one I feel the need, now I need to push even more because I need to catch up with them if I'm gonna win at the end, which I think I played once where I got 0 points in the whole game because I just kept pushing my luck. But it's also really fun, like because people will go home after a while, right? And if you're the one left being alone and you hit this like 18 diamonds on a card and you get all of them, if you're 2 guys, then you will split it, so we get 9 each. So yeah, so you want to be, I mean, the best thing in the game is to be the one left standing at the end and just hit that jackpot after jackpot, and everybody else at the table are like, no, why did we go home? So much fun. So that's my number 98, Diamant. I might remember later on what the other name for it is. Anyhow, 97 is also a small game called Sonar. This is like Captain Sonar, which I haven't played actually, still have to play that one, but it's like Captain Sonar, but it's in 4-player modes. You're 4 players, and it's I mean, you have like a big slider in front of you, and you're 2 guys in each team, and then you have one of you are going to have a map indicating where you go. You're the captain. You're gonna say like, yeah, north, and then we go north and so on. But they don't know where we started, so they know where we went. So on the opposing team, the other role is to listen to the captain of your opponents, and when he says north, then you write it down on this you know, like dry washer, and you write it down, and you're like, okay, so they head north, and then you have to figure out. So after a while you get this map, right, and you have to match that to your map you have underneath with like islands and stuff, so you can figure out where is your U-boat going. You can figure out if you can. Well, you have, if you can shoot at them, but you have to figure out where they are. You have to guess, like A12, and if you get the hit on the submarine, then you will they will take 2 hits and then you win. So it's and when you hit them, that you will know where they are. So when you get hit, it's really stressful to really get out of there fast and do it in a tricky way, so the other ones can't figure out. Because there's also, you're building up like energy. And then you can use that to go stealthy for one round, which is really important, because then you don't have to say out loud where you're going, which means you can sort of try to lose them, because you're hunting each other all the time. It's a really fun game, and I really want to play Captain Sonar, which is the big one, sort of. But it's more, that's almost like a convention thing, getting 8 people together, and yeah, that's not that easy. So anyhow, that is my number 97, Sonar. So my number 96 is something totally different. This is a Euro game, somewhat dry Euro game, called Prosperity, where we try to build a city. There's a lot of building games on my list, as you can imagine. We try to build a city, but we also have to, so we try to get the economy going and so on, but we also have to manage our pollution. You don't want to get too high on pollution, because that will hurt you, and you won't score any points. So there's this balance in Prosperity of getting buildings that will help your economy and your research, your science, so you can build better and better buildings as you keep going. You want to generate points, and you also want to keep it green as much as you can and not pollute too badly. So this one is really, I really like this one. The only negative thing with this game really is that it's the setup is always the same, so there's no variation. So I can't play this like, I mean, I can play it like once every 5 months or something and I'm having fun, but it's not one of those games that you can play a lot in a row, which is a bit sad. I would like to see some expansion for this, where you added more tiles, because you have these little tiles that you build with. So that is my number 96, Prosperity. Then we go to number 95, and once again we're going to build something. We're going to build cities, and we're going to sit between 2 cities, because that's the name of the game. And this game is really fun. I think it's one of those games that I really like to have in my collection, because it's so perfect when you end up having like 6, 7, 8 guys that want to play at once. Maybe someone new. You don't have that much, time or energy to sit down and just teach a heavy game. Between 2 cities is fairly easy to learn. You're going to sort of cooperate with your neighbors, trying to build good cities. So I'm building one city over here, and I'm building one over there with my neighbors, and then whatever city has the lowest points is going to be my scoring city. And it's done by drafting. So this is somewhat similar to 7 Wonders. You send these tiles around instead of cards, and then you choose a tile for this city and one for this city, and then you have to sort of also discuss with your neighbor, but you can't do it during the draft. You have to figure it out for yourself, and then you can discuss where you want to place each tile. So between 2 cities is really fun, and I'm excited because there's between 2 castles of Mad King Ludwig coming. They both ended up on the same segment here, between 2 cities and Castle of Mad King Ludwig, and they are matched into one game, and that is releasing just in a week or so. So that's something I'm looking forward to get my hands on and try out, because that sounds like a fun combo. Okay, so that was number 95, between 2 cities. Now we go to number 94, which is Spyfall. This is a deduction game, I would say. Basically, it's somewhat of a party game almost. But what happens is everybody gets a card which tells you where we are, what location we're at in this role-playing thing. There's a bunch of locations, there's a map that you can see a bunch of locations. And you get a card telling you where you are, or one of you will get a spy card. So you're the spy and you don't know where we are. And that's the fun thing, because then people start asking questions. So you get to, like, on your turn, you get to ask someone one question, and that person answers however they want. They could be, probably lying, or perhaps, and then they will send that question further on. The thing is, though, we need to let's say I'm on the good side, we need to figure out who the spy is. So let's say we're at the beach. I got this card saying we're at the beach. Now then, I can't ask someone a too obvious question, because if the spy hears it. If it's not the spy, if it's one, I don't know who's in my team, right? So if it's one in my team and they answer too obvious, or I ask the question too obvious, then the spy will sort of be able to figure out where we are. Because if the spy gets the question later on, like, yeah, are we in a place where, I don't know, now I can't figure out a good question, but let's say the spy gets a question like, are we outside? And then the spy don't know, like, half the locations are inside, half the locations are outside. But if the spy heard other people talking with the questions earlier on, he or she might have figured out that, yeah, we are outside, and he or she can answer, yeah, we are, and then stay hidden. So it's really a tricky game to with these questions. It's really like a social deduction game, really a social game. But I have a lot of fun with this one, and that is Spyfall, my number 94. Now let's go to 93, and it's called Yamatai. Yamatai is a really beautiful game. It's a really lovely Days of Wonder. But just this production, I think, is amazing. It sort of reminds you of Five Tribes, even though it plays a bit different. But I like it in the way that there's the steps in how you want to build around islands, and depending on how you do that, you get these bonuses and we score points and so on. And so there's a few different strategies you can apply, and yeah, I just love how this game looks and how it makes my brain works and how I think. And it's not that heavy; it's just like midweight, so it fits well into the collection as well to have that kind of game in there, and it looks so awesome as well. So that is Yamatai, my number 93. Now 92 is a game that I actually done a run through for. I will mention a bit when I done that, because then you can go check out the game more if you find it interesting when I describe it. So I'll put some links up here, right? And it's called The Mind. This is The Mind. The Mind is a game that came out this year, and it was actually nominated, or maybe last year. It was actually nominated for Spiel des Jahres this year. The Mind, some say it's not even a game, right? But it is a game, It's a deck of cards, 1 to 100. That's basically it. Then you have some life and so on, but you could have just anything for that. And this game is special in a way. It's a cooperative game, so we're all trying to put our cards. In the first round, we get 1 card each, and they are numbered 1 to 100. We're trying to play them out on the table in ascending order, so the 1 first and so on. It sounds really easy, right? But the thing is, we can't talk to each other. So that's where the mind comes in. You have to sort of figure out, well, in the beginning, it's actually a lot of just mathematics. Like if we're 4 players and we each have 1 card and I have number 10, then odds are that that's the lowest card, right? If I have 30, then it might not be. So basically you sit around the table, you look at each other. It's kind of weird because everyone's quiet. But it can get really tense. That's why it's on my list. I really love the tension you can build in the room, especially at higher levels. Like say you're at level 7, everybody has 7 cards in hand, and we need to play them on the table without talking to each other. So let's say I have the 25, and my friend over here, he has 27, and we're sitting there. And I'm thinking maybe 24 on the not 24. Let's say 23 on the table, 22 on the table, something like that. It's really exciting to like figure out, well, is this good enough? Should I play it? Or maybe he or she has that one that is missing in there. Maybe there's like a few numbers between my number and the one on the table. And it can get really tense, especially at the higher levels. So The Mind, I think it's really cool. And to those of you that say that it's not a game and all that, just as long as you're having fun with there's mechanics in it, it's a game. And I'm having fun with it. The Mind, my number 92. So let's head to the last one on this episode's list, and that's a small card game as well at 91. It's called Oh My Goods, and this is a Euro style sort of resource or like engine building game, but it's done with the deck of cards, and it's really smart how they made this. I'm really impressed by each card can be used in different ways. Something I love about games, when you have these cards that can be used in many ways, or tiles and so on. I like when they really put some thinking into the design there. And in my Oh My Goods, you're sort of building buildings that you can activate by using the right type of resource to generate money, basically, that you can use to buy more buildings, and you keep going until someone has, I think it's like 7 buildings built. And it's not really a small, it's not really a short filler game in that sense, because it takes a while, but it's still like, it's under an hour, I think. Anyhow, the real meat of the game is the feeling of building up your engine, basically, because it's an engine building. You build this, you have this charcoal burner which generates charcoal, and the charcoal have a value of just 1. Then you can use that to feed another building, the sawmill, that generates these wooden planks which have a value of 5 perhaps, and so on. So you build up this step by step and find an engine, and I love that stuff in games. And this game is amazing because it's just deck of cards, but you can get that feeling in there anyway. So it's really easy to bring in with you and so on. So that's my number 91, Oh My Goods. And now in the next video we'll do 90 to 81. Thank you so much for watching this first one. I hope you will keep following this series as it keeps going, and we'll be done by Christmas, and then we'll have the big finale with the 3 guys in a row and all that, and Draco of course. So have a great evening, morning, or whenever you're watching. Take care. Bye bye.
Board Games with Niramas is sponsored by Alara Games in Sweden.